You're listening the Virtual CISO podcast, providing the best insight on information security and security IT advice to business leaders everywhere.
Okay, well, I know we had originally talked about maybe talking about infrastructure as code protection later, but it sort of seems like a logical place in our conversation to touch on it now. So with so much of our cloud configuration these days in more pipelined, if you will, applications being infrastructure as code, realistically, ensuring that we've got a secure cloud configuration ensures that our infrastructure as code doesn't contain anything that will create a non-compliant, non-secure configuration. So I think what you're saying is that infrastructure as code and CSPM are tightly interrelated if everything is happening through infrastructure as code?
Yes, and even furthermore. So you can think about the infrastructure as code as the shift left of the CSPM. Now, infrastructure as code, there are two main use cases. The first use case speaks about a developer building their cloud native application and writing and defining that cloud native application in code and want to ensure that there are no problems in the code, to your point, before they actually push that code to production, right? So they want to avoid that public bucket being created, so they scan their code before it actually goes to production, which allows them to catch the problems early on and fix those problems in the development, build, deploy stage before it actually appears in the public cloud. That's one use case. The second use case is actually to look at the cloud infrastructure environments, and for every problem that you do identify there, to do two things. One is to identify that misconfigured resource and tie that resource in the cloud back to the piece of code that is basically used to define that resource. That's one. And secondly, when you're doing the remediation of the problem, do the remediation in code. Because if you would do the remediation in the cloud, but actually the code goes and redeploys the resource, it would be redeployed with all the problems, right? Because it is defined in the code. So you have to solve the problem at its core, at its source. And the source in this case is the source of the infrastructure as code. So the more advanced CSPM tools, what they're doing, they're not only have an IAC or infrastructure as code security component that allows you to scan your Terraform files or cloud formations before they're moving to production, but furthermore, they allow you to resolve the problems that they identify on the right-hand side in runtime in the production in the code that was originally used to create those.
Yeah, which is ideal, right? Preventative versus detective versus corrective. If we can get to preventative, that's certainly a superior option. So realistically, this just integrates into their workflows, into their pipeline. So on a pull from Git or something of that nature, the IAC component of the CNAP application is going to scan that code and recognize any potential issues, and will then, at that point, alert, I'm assuming, the developer to the issue, so that it can be addressed prior to deployment.
That's true.
Okay.